First couple of slides might be familiar to some of you to show where we are, and then there are some showing where ontologies come into play with SchemaOrg, and then there's another slide or two asking for help and asking for action. So schema.org has been around for a while, and this chap here, Tim Berners-Lee, was one of those pioneering it. And basically, it helps to have machine-readable metadata embedded in the HTML of websites, for example, which can be used by search engines because you can extract that machine-readable metadata, parse that, and then show it in the search results. Schema.org is the, let's say, vocabulary, the types and the properties that are used to describe things. So there is a number of different types, around 700 of them. There is a few biochemical entities, which is great for us here in the workshop. And they are defined in the schema.org website and at those tables over there, which is great. And I would like to show how we use that in NFDI for Chem, where we have a number of resources that provide data, and they all have kinds of metadata and present that, for example, through the website. And here are the data types that are relevant in the chemistry area, notably chemical substance and molecular entity, which are supported in some of the resources. And then that data gets harvested and used elsewhere. So a bit more detail about that elsewhere. So the resource might have a molecular entity metadata, which is then ingested by, let's say, a particular search service that the team in Hanover has created, which can ingest, among others, the schema.org metadata on chemistry. And what is not shown in that screenshot is that the search service also has faceted search to restrict, for example, to mass spectrometry data or just NMR spectra and so on. And that is why we need that data rather structured. These are more examples of search engines. The Google dataset search is ingesting schema.org. Unfortunately, it doesn't have all the chemistry bells and whistles we have seen in the Hanover search service. And a similar example is the Omics Discovery Index at the EBI that is indexing in total 25 repositories, harvesting their metadata on experiments and stuff. And that goes from transcriptomics to metabolomics to proteomics and whatever they have. And there's also the structured metadata being harvested. And wouldn't it be great if we aim for something similar that can harvest the chemistry stuff? So Bavin, no pressure. Okay, so that was the context here. And schema.org already can do controlled vocabularies. So they have the notion of the defined term, which is shown an example here, which is from the taxonomy domain. So this is about Homo sapiens, and this is the structured information about one single ontology or defined term coming from the NCBI taxonomy. They can be used in different parts of the schema.org. For example, when it comes to keywords or variable measured, measurement technique is supported, and so on. And we also have seen the terminology service where these ontologies are hosted. And wouldn't it be great if we can now start to connect metadata and those terminology services? We also have validators out there that can check that, for example, a measurement technique in a data set comes from the chemical methods ontology if we define such a role in the validators. And then, as mentioned before, the search services can use that in their faceted search without having to deal with people saying this is MS or others saying this is mass spec and yet others saying this is mass spectrometry. More examples. This is the one on Homo sapiens. That is one that Johannes has provided in one of my documents. So I just stole that today. with information from the semantic science integration ontology. We have more examples here for analytical chemistry, and my example, this is coming from a live record on mass bank, is saying that yes, we are actually dealing with liquid chromatography, mass spectrometry. So all of these can be done today. If you look closely, you will see there is a bit of variance in how they actually express things. And this is my start for a plea for help. So we see that the properties of a defined term, there is a number of them. I picked a reasonable subset of these that could be interesting. So term code is a string thingy as identifier. There's also identifier, which is described as that. And we also have URL. And if this rings now a bell to the talk we had 2 hours ago about the harmonization here, this is where we actually need to figure out the mapping between the defined term in SchemaOrg and the others. That's where I need your help. This slide was only started today around lunchtime. So basically, we also have a GitHub issue in the schema.org world. And what I need is now to fill that table. So we figure out, yeah, name might be easy, but then I'm already a bit lost about the term codes. They come in different flavors. And then whether or not to use URLs for terms and where they go, that is really a bit up in the air. If you check the examples we have, so some of them go to Perl. This one goes to the to another URL in that domain, and so on. The same as goes to Perls or identifiers.org, so stuff like that. This really needs to be figured out what we want to have there. And this one sneaked in just an hour ago. The screenshot here on the right-hand side, that is all the properties that are defined for defined term set. So I guess only a handful of them really make sense as metadata for defined term set. But then it would be great if the ontology resources embed that schema markup in their landing page for an ontology, or maybe even in the REST service they have. And one reason why there might be a benefit behind that is because there is also currently work to do some SchemaOrg and knowledge graph creation. And there's the fair checker tool by the French team. And there you point it to a URL of a web resource, and it will spit out the RDF serialization of the SchemaOrg stuff in there. And wouldn't it be great if that includes more and more ontology terms? This would be something that we are trying at the Elixir Europe Hackathon later this month. So stay tuned because we will certainly hit a few bumps on the road, and then we need to get that harmonization off the ground. So basically, that was my middle ground between flash talk and long talk, so 5 minutes for discussions. We can do all of that today, and we need to do the harmonization. If you click on that link here, you go back to slide 10, and if you are able to help me there, that would be really awesome. And with that, thanks for your attention.